Let's talk about exactly when homes are going to become more affordable and the affordability of housing in general, from multifamily housing, rental units, and single-family purchases are going to become more affordable for the general public. Now look, according to Newsweek, research was done to explain that what's happening in the market right now, we're going up, it's trivial, right? Like, we're going up against two variables and two factors. And these two factors, when running in alignment with each other, will explain to you guys what the current market and the state of the current market is, and the weather of mortgage rates and the expense of housing and the expense of single-family new home purchases and also single-family new home builds are. And so when we look at exactly where the market is right now, we're sitting at a very vulnerable place when it comes to inventory, because right now inventory just isn't available. There's way more people in need and looking for rooftops than there are rooftops available, by over 6 million across the entire United States. And the big caveat to this is that it takes over 10 years for the U.S. population, with all the builders going at it at full pace. They only can produce 11 million homes in a decade. So when we take a look and we're comparing this to where we are in the market today and where housing is in the market today, and we're trying to put it into perspective with inflation and trying to keep inflation into perspective, we need to be able to weigh the two. We need to weigh what we need as far as inventory. How do we get this to the market? But how do we do it at a place where the general public can afford it? And so that's the big deal. Now, here's one of the big things, ladies and gentlemen. The feds are looking at interest rates in relation to inflation. And when the feds are looking at interest rates based on inflation, we're going up against two really hard walls, because when supply and demand says that there's more demand than there is supply, it typically pushes prices up. So the feds are sitting back trying to push down a supply versus demand market where the demand supersedes the supply by exponential numbers. And yet they're still trying to push inflation down. In January alone, ladies and gentlemen, we saw a 3.1% rise in inflation in January 2024 alone. Now, a healthy year is 2% inflation annually. And in a 30-day period, we saw over a 3% hike in inflation. Month prior, over 2.5%. So in less than 2 months, ladies and gentlemen, we saw over a 5% inflation just over the last 60 days, the tail end of 2023, moving into the first 30 days of 2024. So what that means for you guys as investors and end buyers is that home prices are going to continue going up in spite of the expense of housing. Now, there is going to be a sweet spot as to what you can buy, what you should be selling, what you should be investing in. And I've been talking about this since 2019, because in times of financial distress, people will buy what they need, not what they want. And what I mean by that, and what I explain to people, is that in times where money is abundant and things are cost effective, people will go in and buy what they want. Like, if they can afford and they have the ability to get into a 4,000 square foot home with great affordability, they're going to buy it because they want it. They want the extra space. They want the living area. They want the big yard. They want the swimming pool. Today, in today's real market, people will buy what they need, not what they want. Meaning, if they need a 4-bedroom home and they can get a nice 4-bedroom home in a 2,500 square foot house, they're going to buy what they need, not what they want. Not the 4,000 square foot house that they want, but the 2,500 square foot house that they need and they have to buy in lieu of putting a roof over their family's head. And so, ladies and gentlemen, don't be surprised when we take the average median price for home today, which is $395,000 in today's real world market. Now, 2018, the average median price for a home was less than $260,000, and we've inflated over $100,000 in the average median price per home. Don't be surprised that in spite of what the feds are doing, if the average cost per home because of supply and demand goes up to $500,000 in just the next 5 years. And so in spite of what the feds are doing with interest rates, we just have to get it to a place where, one, we don't put people on the streets so they don't become homeless. And two, we start creating solutions for this housing crisis. If you're an end buyer and you're looking to be able to go in and get into a house, this is the time to start looking at new construction. And I always tell people, the reason I started looking at new construction ground up on multifamily back in 2018 was because I knew that in 2016, I could see the writing on the walls when I started seeing cap rates get compressed and I started seeing values go up. So it made sense in 2016 to start researching the ground up game in multifamily. By 2018, we were executing it full-fledged, knowing that we can get a better value, more upside and a return on investment from building new as opposed to going in and doing it from buying pre-existing. So one of the big things right now, ladies and gentlemen, is position yourself where you are buying. Houses are going to continue going up in value. In spite of interest rates, one of the big misconceptions is that money is so expensive, people are going to land up losing so much of the value of their home by paying interest rates. At the rate that homes are going up because of supply and demand, ladies and gentlemen, interest rates are still at an all-time low in comparison to where they were just 20 years ago. When mortgage rates were 11%, that was high. Back in 2006 and 2007, when the economy was thriving and we were at the height of our residential economy and where housing was just booming, interest rates were at 7%. And so we're looking right now where mortgage rates are sitting just over 5%, still under 6%, and people think that money is expensive. It's not as expensive as it once was at one of the best times to purchase homes back in 2007. But yet people saw rates go down to sub 3%, so they feel like money's expensive. Ladies and gentlemen, the time to buy is now. With the market hitting such a hot time with supply and demand, the time to invest in residential real estate is today. Now, the time to build is right now. Anytime there's not enough supply, obviously there's going to be higher profits in building. And so the time to go in to build real estate and be able to take advantage of the upside is right now. If you want to create some equity as an end user in your residential single-family real estate, the time to do it is today. And the biggest thing is how. And so one of the things that we've been talking about is teaching people how to go in, buy a piece of land, and build a house to be able to share with you guys where the upside profits are. And so to demonstrate what we're talking about, I put a series together. And after this video, I'm going to recommend a video documenting the process from start to finish of how to get permits, how to go out, buy a piece of land, build a house, and profit from it. Ladies and gentlemen, with the current state of today's market and according to what all the analysts are looking at right now, when we look at it from a Fed level, we're looking at it from the White House, we're looking at it from a news and correspondence level, we're looking at it from a data level, when we're looking at it from the National Association of Realtors, when we're looking at it from the National Association of Home Builders, and we're looking at it from a perspective of home building, home buying, home selling, supply and demand, the time to build is today. Walk in with equity. Inflation is real. It's going to continue. In spite of what the Feds do with interest rates, they're only bottlenecking the overall economy, not residential housing. Supply and demand will win. Ladies and gentlemen, the time to invest is yesterday, today, and not wait till tomorrow. We'll see what tomorrow brings, and we'll educate you on how to take down real estate in the current market as the world evolves, economics evolves, and show their true colors. But ladies and gentlemen, when real estate is expensive, the time to create more real estate and more inventory is now. And the time to build is today. If you like this content, click and subscribe, pound that thumbs up button. I look forward to seeing you next time.